Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining our Databricks Exploration and Training Series. I'm Jacob Garrison with Technology Partners, and let's explore the SQL environment. Now, to get to the SQL environment, you'll go to the taskbar in the left-hand side, go up to the drop-down menu at the top, and select SQL. A quick note, if you want the SQL environment to open by default anytime you log in, you can go back here and hit this little pin. Now let's start exploring some of these tabs in the taskbar. At the top we have New, and that'll be a shortcut to creating new queries, new dashboards, any SQL related item that you can create within Databricks. Next, let's check out the SQL Editor. The SQL Editor is similar to tools such as dbeaver, except it's exclusively online and isn't dependent on your machine's hardware. But this is where you go to create, edit, run, and save queries. Next, let's check out the Workspace tab. And this is where you can go to have direct access to any notebook, query, dashboard, alert that you have created within Databricks. The next tab we'll check out is the Queries tab. Similar to Workspace, this will only show you the queries that you have saved. It will also show you any SQL queries that someone has shared with you, and you can filter them on the right here by going to All Queries versus My Queries. My Queries being the ones that you have created and saved yourself. Next, let's check out the Dashboards tab, and just like queries, that'll just show you dashboards as opposed to all of the other items you may have created in Databricks. And just like the queries, you can filter it down to what you have created yourself versus what you've had shared with you. Next, let's check out the Alerts tab. And again, this filters down what you would find in Workspace just to your alerts that you have created, which are based off of SQL queries. Now, I want to jump ahead to the SQL Warehouses tab. Now, a SQL warehouse is essentially a cluster that you find in the other Databricks environments. If you're not sure what a cluster is or a SQL warehouse, essentially they are the brains behind what you do, just like the memory and the processor of your computer. So when you turn on a cluster or you turn on a SQL warehouse, you're turning on that part of your laptop, what's actually doing the work. So assuming you're in a SQL environment to run a SQL query, you're going to need to have your SQL warehouse running. Now, any group that is brought into our Databricks workspace is going to automatically have a SQL warehouse created for them that'll be shared amongst that group or department. In my case, I am part of a demo group, so me and anyone else in my group will have access to this demo SQL warehouse. Now, the important part here is that to start it, all you have to do is just hit this little start button, and you'll want to give it a few minutes to actually spin up and be ready to go. So in the meantime, let's go ahead and explore the Data tab. The Data tab is where you can find the Databricks Data Explorer, which is similar to your traditional Object Explorer that you have on your computer to browse files. From here, you're able to see the data and metadata that you have access to. Databricks tiers all of the data, starting at the catalog level being the highest tier. And in the Explorer, you can look at your catalogs. And when you open it, you can see the list of your schemas. And in each schema, you can see the tables or views. Now, at each of these levels, when you're selected on them, you can see further details, such as you can see the schemas within the catalog listed here, as well as additional details such as who created it and any permissions granted at the catalog level. Similarly, at the schema, you can see the tables or views within the schema, you can see the details about the schema, and you can see the permissions granted to the schema. And then lastly, at the table or view level, you can see the columns within it, along with the data type. You can look at details, and you can look at the permissions granted. And then all of this is visible without your SQL warehouse being spun up yet. Here at the top right, you can see the SQL warehouse that I have access to, and you can see with that circle, it's still starting. And so all of this is visible without it running yet. Now, I'm going to cut away for a minute and come back once it's started to show you some of the few other features that you can access, but only when your SQL warehouse is running. All right, now that our SQL warehouse is running and you can see that we're connected to it up at the top here, let's check out this sample data tab where you can just get a quick look at the table or view and just see what some of the data looks like. You can also check out this history tab, which shows you anytime it's been changed and the different versions with it. You can check out lineage, which will show you any dependencies you have from tables or notebooks, jobs, both upstream and downstream. And then you can see this Insights tab, which shows you things like frequent queries and your frequent users of that table or view. All right, lastly, let's check out this Query History tab here on the left. In the Query History tab, you can see what queries have been run and by what users, and you can filter it down by time as well as the SQL warehouses that it was connected to, but this can be helpful for auditing purposes. If you want to learn more about the features in the SQL environment, or if you want to explore the other Databricks environments, please check out our other videos in this series. Thank you for watching.